All right, we just got our second blockbuster NBA trade today. One we definitely saw coming a little bit more than the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade. James Harden, for now the fifth time in his career, has been traded. OKC to Houston, Houston to Brooklyn, Brooklyn to Philadelphia, Philadelphia to Los Angeles, and now Los Angeles to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been traded for Darius Garland and a 2026 second round pick. You ask anybody a week ago, honestly 2 days ago, before Harden was kind of out with these personal reasons, I thought James Harden was going to be on the Clippers after the deadline. They've been one of the better teams in the NBA basically since the start of December when they were 6-21, and now they're a respectable team in the Western Conference. They are 23-26. They're currently the 9th seed, and it's not impossible for them to be the 8th seed at the end of the year and only have to win one play-in tournament game, but they're going to have to do it without James Harden, who extends his career playoff streak. The Cavs definitely have a better chance of making the playoffs this year. Let's break this straight down because nobody saw this one coming about 24 hours ago. So I'm going to start off with Cleveland's side of things because when they were the rumored team to go out and get James Harden, honestly, that shocked me a lot. I didn't really think that they were going to be the team that was going to emerge as the James Harden suitor, given that they've had their second apron issues. Now, they were able to save some money in the DeAndre Hunter trade that we saw over the weekend, made a video on Saturday night. Now they trade away Darius Garland, who's the 5th overall pick back in the 2019 draft. If you remember, he didn't have the greatest rookie year coming out of Vanderbilt, in which a season at Vanderbilt, he wasn't really healthy, and we were worried about maybe his size, his finishing at the rim. And I gotta say, Darius Garland has had a very impressive, just kind of year-over-year improvement every single year in Cleveland. He was an all-star in 2022. He was an all-star in 2025 when the Cavs won 64 games. But this year, like 2024 and like some parts of his career, he's been banged up yet again. He's only played 26 games for the Cavs right now, and he's dealing with the toe injury. He hasn't played a game since January 14th, and this toe injury might be more serious than we thought, just because I did not think that Darius Garland was going to go for James Harden, with the Clippers actually getting a second-round pick in this deal. We saw Trae Young go for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum. Darius Garland's roughly a similar size to Trae Young. They actually had to give a second-round pick and off Darius Garland to go out and get James Harden, who's a decade older than Darius Garland. Harden is 36, Garland is 26, and Garland is under contract more years than James Harden. 39 and a half this year, 42 in 2027, 44.8 in 2028, and Cleveland must think that they can get James Harden at a cheaper price tag than Garland's deal. Maybe they're able to save $10 or so million over those 2 years because Donovan Mitchell, by next October, very similar to Giannis, can sign a massive extension and becomes extension eligible. And Cleveland can't really afford to ever lose Donovan Mitchell in free agency. So if Donovan Mitchell ever declined a contract extension, they have to trade him right away. So they want to give him the top dollar amount, and being able to do so is now freeing up money at the 2026 deadline, in which the Cavs have been a repeat second apron offender, which now limits them to making moves. They can't bring back more money than they send out. They can't sign anybody in the buyout market. Their 2032 first round pick could end up being frozen. So it really restricts them when they're trying to make moves on the margin, and maybe they still believe they could take care of the wide open Eastern Conference. I mean, 64 games last year, Tatum gets hurt, Halliburton gets hurt. They think that the East is probably wide open, and this year they are 30-21 the moment this trade goes down. A little bit underwhelming, but only a few games out of the 2 seed. So I don't think this is really a panic move from Cleveland. I think it's a little bit head scratching. I would honestly give this like a C or a D letter grade. I think James Harden is a better player than Darius Garland right now, but like I said, he's a decade older. I think you're maybe making a short-sighted move because of Garland's health, and I know he was hurt in the playoffs last year against the Indiana Pacers, but he's 10 years younger. Could you have not gotten a more athletic wing? I've talked about that I think the Cavs can optimize their roster with Donovan Mitchell as your point guard, or at least Donovan Mitchell as your worst defender in the backcourt. James Harden really isn't that much of a better defender than Darius Garland. He's a little bit bigger, but he's also 10 years older. He's obviously slower than Darius Garland, but he is healthier, so I guess that's a reason for doing so. I think the Cavs could have optimized their roster trading Garland for an athletic wing. Could you have done Garland for maybe like a Herb Jones or somebody like that? I actually think that would raise the Cavs ceiling once we get to the playoffs. Maybe we're going to see them actually make a trade in the front court. I thought Evan Mobley would have the best year of his career offensively if he was the full-time 5, and that's not going to happen with Jared Allen at the 5 spot right now. Harden is a better playmaker than Darius Garland, but this is now shrinking the Cavs window. Like I said, Harden is 36 years old. He's going to want a new contract extension this offseason, so there's going to be an added level of pressure for the Cavs to succeed. If they don't, and who's to say that Harden is not going to request a trade out of Cleveland, right? I thought he was actually happy in Los Angeles as the number 2 option to Kawhi Leonard. He gets to play in Southern California. He's getting paid. Maybe the Clippers said that we weren't going to give you a nice extension in the offseason. I don't really get that. And I don't know if Harden's going to be a long-term Cav. Can you make a fair assessment that Harden is going to end his career in Cleveland? That's going to be wonky. We've dealt with the roller coaster ride of James Harden in the playoffs last year against the Denver Nuggets in round number 1. It was that roller coaster for James Harden. He averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists. He shot 43% from the field, 36% from 3 in their 7-game series loss to the Denver Nuggets. Now, Harden is not going to be asked to be the number 1 option in Cleveland. This is obviously Donovan Mitchell's team offensively. It's just tough. Maybe the Garland injury is way worse than we thought, and Cleveland can't afford Garland to just not be there consistently for them as we get towards the playoffs and into the playoffs with this window with Donovan Mitchell in his prime, with Garland and Allen playing at a high level, with them going out and trading for Dennis Schroeder. Hopefully they get back Max Strus soon. There could still be another Cleveland Cavaliers trade as well. Could they go out and move Lonzo Ball? Yeah, that's definitely been in the rumors as of late. Could they go out and trade away Sam Merrill or Max Strus? It feels like everybody outside of Mobley, Mitchell, and Jalen Tyson is actually untouchable on this roster that we just learned over the last few days. Maybe they end up trading Evan Mobley for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I highly doubt that ends up happening. That would be wild. It feels like we'd be playing 2K at that point. And then some people said they'll go out and sign LeBron James. Yeah, like I said, I'm putting this at a C. I think it's very shocking for Cleveland to do this. I think it's incredibly risky. Maybe Harden overcomes the playoff doubters this time around in the Eastern Conference he hasn't been in since he was on the 76ers a couple years ago. We'll see what happens. But like I said, a little skeptical about this for Cleveland. As for the Los Angeles Clippers, it stinks that James Harden just came to you saying that he wanted to get traded. Now, they can't extend James Harden right now. They weren't able to in season, given that he had a player option at the end of the year. He kind of has a de facto no trade clause because he signed that 1+1. So he's waiving this to go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really like this trade for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, I know this kind of hinders their 2027 free agency plans because Garland is under contract of guaranteed money for the next 3 years, including this year. I mentioned it earlier, $39.5 million, $42 million, $44.8 million. But I just like the fact that they got Darius Garland, who's 26 years old. When was the last time the Clippers had somebody that was an all-star caliber player that was in their mid-20s? Yes, they have Ivica Zubac, who's a little bit older than that right now, but it's been Paul George, it's been Kawhi Leonard in their 30s, it's been James Harden. They tried Bradley Beal and Chris Paul, and that didn't work out. Norman Powell was a little bit older as well when he was really good for them last year. So I like the swing here on Darius Garland. This team has a good defensive infrastructure in place where I think you can hide some of Garland's defensive deficiencies as a smaller guard in the backcourt. The Clippers have been underwhelming defensively this year, 21st in defensive rating, but Kawhi has been kind of in and out of the lineup. Ivica Zubac has missed a little bit of time, and Derrick Jones Jr., their best point of attack defender, has also been hurt as well. So at this roster's full strength with Kawhi, Derrick Jones Jr., Zubac, and maybe it's Chris Dunn, maybe it's Jordan Miller, whoever the hot hand is at the 2-guard spot with Garland at the 1, I think we can really run with that going forward. Garland also hasn't been like a playoff riser by any means. We know that the Cavs have had some disappointing playoff exits with kind of this Garland Donovan Mitchell backcourt. 2023 to the Knicks, 2024 to the Orlando Magic. They go to 7, they beat them, but then they lose to Boston in round number 2. And then last year in 2025 to the Indiana Pacers after kind of blowing out the Miami Heat in round number 1 going forward. So I think this just makes the Clippers' future a little bit more exciting. Who's to say that Garland doesn't get traded in an offseason or still in the 2027 offseason if they actually think they can lure a Nikola Jokic or Donovan Mitchell or Giannis Antetokounmpo to Los Angeles. Garland being a decade younger makes me excited about this one. Garland is still an all-star level point guard. I'm not going to say he's in the tier of Halliburton, Curry, Brunson, Cade, none of those guys, but I do think he's still in a solid tier right now going forward. So yeah, I do think Darius Garland is a nice upgrade here for the Clippers' future. Maybe this is going to come back and bite me. Maybe this is going to be a bad take. I'm going to actually give them an A- for this trade. I'm a big fan of this pickup for the Clippers. I know that they weren't going to compete for a title this year, but Garland hopefully isn't going to be out too long. He can help you this year, at least at some point, so you're not giving OKC a great draft pick, and then you can end up just having this piece in the offseason as a trade asset, or with this contract at a later line, or maybe just Garland reverts back to the all-star player he can be, that he's going to be healthy again. But yeah, I think we're learning that these small guards do not have much trade value, with Garland having to be traded with a second-round pick for James Harden. James Harden's a good player, but he's 36 years old. Trae Young went for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. The Grizzlies can't seem to trade away Ja Morant right now. They don't love what they're getting on the open market, so it's just something that we are learning. We all thought this was maybe a boring trade deadline. It was up until basically Saturday. DeAndre Hunter gets traded. Vic Krejci gets traded on Sunday. Jaren Jackson Jr. got traded today, along with James Harden and Jaden Ivey and Nikola Vucevic. What a day for the NBA trade deadline. I jokingly tweeted out that, did the NBA change the trade deadline to today without telling anybody? Because yeah, February 3rd has been an exciting one. So I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this trade down below. If you did enjoy the video, the double upload today, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content like this. Might go live tomorrow on the channel as well. Just kind of do a trade deadline preview discussion. So hope to see you guys there. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.